I did not know that the listeners named them disease. Was 2012, was that the year that you started doing the monthly energy forecasts?
You know, Deb, it was. That was the year I started doing the video energy updates. I'd done some written energy updates on and off, not never religiously,
Mhm.
but on and off for a few years. And then it was February 2012 that I bit the bullet and put myself on video doing an energy update. And then the next day I cried that I'd done it and put it out on YouTube because I felt so. Ugh. So the only reason I'm sharing that is, this is a group of creatives who will
Yeah.
probably be tuning into this. Just that weirdness of the creative process that you feel compelled to do something sometimes, but it doesn't mean you walk into it comfortably or completely at peace with what you're doing.
Or that you like the way it looks afterwards. Oftentimes you have to you have to let your ego just take a vacation and not, I don't try to watch anything or anything I do because I don't like the whole ego talk that happens.
I get it. And I think that's the interesting thing, isn't it? I think when you are an active creator, meaning, you're used to creating things and letting other people see them, whether it's 4 people or 400 people, I think you get to that, or I've got to that place where I'm very clear it isn't about me. Like I've got to show up and do my best. And I have my own kind of standards, but I've also learned that because I have a certain standard, I shouldn't be too hard on myself. And that sometimes things happen that are really way beyond your control. Like if I try and do an energy update that I would like to do, then I'm not serving the hundreds of thousands of people who are influencing what I'm supposed to say. So I'm with you, Chris. I always think it's, especially if you're putting work out into the world consciously, there is this collaborative energy and spirit that takes over that's no different to being in a room with an audience and them influencing you. I feel that with video work, writing, anything that I'm intending to go public with.
Isn't it very effortless for you now? I mean, isn't it, it's kind of a joy, right? To just be able to allow, get yourself out of the way and allow all of this spirit to come through you.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it, when you get to look back? Because even you asking me the question, Deb, about, it's funny that we started with Glimmers and Silhouettes because my 27-year-old self who wrote that song was still 3 years away from putting work out online around my channeling. I was just about to I just started or was starting the private channeling. And I remember being much more riddled with stuff. You're kind of working on your things, hoping they'll connect with people, but you're much more in your head about it. And it's true. I think now, especially having an active job like I have, I'm really grateful for it because I don't have much time to think about it or, and you do get to, even you asking that question, Chris, makes me go, oh yeah, wow, come a long way from those days where I would do an energy update and then the next day worry about, I could have explained that more. Or now I'm like, okay, well, I could have, but it's on a schedule. It's going out. I'll move on to the next thing. There is a freedom in that.
Lee,
Do you ever have a, oh, I'm sorry, Deb. Sorry.
No, you go.
You go. No, you go.
I don't want to take you off the trail that you were just on. Yeah.
Well, I was going to go off the trail anyway, so go ahead. I'll come back to it. Sorry.
I'm curious so you were doing live workshops with people before you started putting work out online, right?
Actually, it was so 2004 was when I started doing the channeled sessions, which was either the same year or a year after I wrote that song we were talking about. And then 2006 was when I did my first workshop and put my first channeled video on YouTube. And back then, you were slightly more protected because YouTube, I mean, it was doing well, but it wasn't what it is now. And I think I knew that only people interested in channeling would go and find it. But yeah, it was 2006. So it's been, 17 years? Is that public work in that way?
Yeah, so that leads to my other question, and maybe it'll dovetail with what you're going to ask, Chris. But did you get, maybe it's not did you, but when did you get glimmers? Speaking of glimmers, when did you get glimmers of really reaching people on a worldwide scale? that was happening?
Um, good question. I mean, maybe there were points all along the way, but I think there was a turning point in 2011. I had this idea to create an annual video with an annual message, and it was called 2011 Year of Illumination. And I knew a video editor who had a real intuition about the way she edited, and I liked her. I knew a great photographer who did amazing nature photography, and I was working on an album with a friend who was a great musician, and I'd commissioned him to do some kind of meditative music for me for some meditations. So I thought, what if we bring those four elements together? I'll do a verbal 15-minute annual message about the year to come, and we create a very beautiful visual video that kind of moves people. And I couldn't believe it. It literally did about, I think, about 200,000 views or something within 3 months, which I think now those numbers are still really big. But back then I was like, what is this? It was unbelievable. And so there was this weird feeling of, wow, this little thing that I felt strongly about has just permeated the lives of lots of people. So I think that was a moment. But honestly, Deb, I think I'm still coming through the layers of denial about the reach of the work, because I'm sure everyone feels like this who does public work. You don't think about the fact that it's reaching the public. I think you're just in the laboratory doing the next thing, and you care that it's helping or landing for people. And I really care about the quality of everything we do. That's something I'm very hot on, that I want the vibrational quality to be good. But it's every now and then when someone says, oh, I saw you on, and you're like, oh, like I have a bit of healthy amnesia, I think, that your work reaches people. I mean, I'm really happy it does, but I kind of don't need to know about that. Like, I'm quite a happy creator. I don't necessarily need to interface with people about it. I'm just happy if it's helping them.
I was going to ask, in your bio, you talk about creativity being for healing. Is that because you found spirit and creativity initially through your own healing, and that helped you heal from just the wounds that you were suffering from as a teen? And how does that express itself for you now? Like, what do you have to say about that in a deeper level?
Great question. Well, I think goes back to when, Deb, you asked how would I describe, being plugged in, and I said connected. I think for me, creativity is always, there's an alchemical magic that you are collaborating with. And so to me, that feels like home. So on a personal level, it was definitely healing when I was a child. It was the place I could feel safest, most expressed. But what I feel about it now goes back to something that the Z's said to somebody in a private session well over a decade ago, but it always stuck with me. They were talking to a client, and she was feeling quite down in her life, and she hadn't, she was either an artist or a painter or a sculptor, and she hadn't really been doing it for a while. And she said she missed it, but she felt blocked. And I'm paraphrasing, but they went into detail about this. But the crux of what they said to her was, when you paint, you tap into angelic energy and you create that angelic energy onto a canvas. And this does two things. It runs through your body when you're creating it, and then you get to see that beauty and that angelic energy reflected back at you. And that not only helps you and helps you feel good that you seeded more angelic energy on the earth, but it helps the person who might see it, who doesn't know how to conjure angelic energy in their life, but they see that painting and something in their body reacts. So to me, I always remember what they said about that. So yeah, I think of really creativity to me is building with consciousness.